Welcome, everyone, to the wrestling show. I know you guys are so excited. You see this thing pop up on your feed. Now it's one of those surprises to where it's, oh, fuck, there's a show. And you don't get it when you want it, but you find sometimes you get it when you need it. So I'm Cav Manning. I'm from the Lingus Mafia podcast at Lingus Mafia, along with your number one source and the leader in all of the insider stuff, and that is Mr. Billy Body.
Yeah.
And we should explain what this show is, because it's not a review of Rest in Peace Raw. That's what we should call it from now, Rest in Peace Raw. It's more of a review on that this company's falling apart. They're getting rid of people. What does this fucking mean? Everyone's fucking leaving. Everyone wants a release. People aren't going to renew their contracts. They get rid of Flair, pretty much just a salary dump. It's not like he's fucking there, but it's almost it's like a old timers fucking contract just to be an ambassador anyway, you know, just to say, well, he's Ric Flair. He's one of the greatest ever. You know, he's with us. But now he's going to be with Tully and Arn, and he's going to be, the whole fucking Four Horsemen's going to be together.
Oh, it's so fucking difficult for me to do this. It's like, I feel
it's a death.
I mean, yeah, I feel like I'm in really deep, and it's like, it's not something where you can just cut it off, because it's like, okay, I'm invested in terms of the backlog of years that I'm invested in this. If I started watching this a year ago or 2 years ago, I would never have lasted. Or even if I started watching this in the mid, look, I could not have taken this on as a pastime any time in the last 7 or 8 years. It just would not have interested me at all. And you can see it. You can see it in like the 10-year-old kid that I have, who started watching this back in about 2013, when he would have been 2 years old. And obviously with then it's like, it's the characters, and it's like the fighting and the pyro and the, you know, it's just something like, originally this does grab everybody, and then you start to sort of make sense of it. But the thing is that, you know, now with everything else that's going on, he's discovered video games and other TV shows. I mean, fucking hell, like today,
a lot more outlets.
Well, that's the thing. Today he was watching Raw, and he was watching a 14-year-old episode of Gordon Ramsay, because he's got into that. He's got into that lately.
He's into cooking.
He's not really even into cooking. He just likes. He saw some clips of Gordon Ramsay, and I said, "Oh yeah, he's got a whole show out. Like, you know, you can put all this shouting at people into context, right? Sure. Because Gordon Ramsay's got like memes and things, you know, which these gamers are using in their videos, where he's going, "You're an idiot sandwich," or whatever, like, you know, all these famous things. So I was like going, you know, you should watch the show, put it into context. So he downloaded like a load of Kitchen Nightmares, and he's watching them. I was like, "Oh, you know, you're gonna watch Raw or SmackDown?" He was like, "Oh, I watched the SmackDown highlights." So I was like, "You're gonna watch Raw?" No. Wow. There's no rush or urgency at all, and eventually there'll just be no watching it at all. Like, if I didn't remind him, he could miss it quite easily, and that's the point. It's like, you lost a kid to a fucking, you lost a 10-year-old to a cooking show. What does that fucking?
That's bad.
What does that tell? What? Yeah, you're not. Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. Yeah, you already lost. I mean, his interest was waning in terms of it was prioritized behind certain video games and whatnot, but to lose it to fucking a cooking show, albeit one where the guy goes fucking crazy and swears at people, like, which is more entertaining than your average cooking show, but still, like, this is the thing. And he's watching other crap like this stuff on YouTube called Darman, where it's fucking terrible acting, but like there's like a lesson at the end, like, you know, like the person that you fired, and then you get fired, and then you want to go and get a job, and then he's like the boss.
They're your boss now.
yeah, like they're like, it's shit like that. It's like complete bullshit. But like he's starting to watch that. It's like, you know, and for other kids and for other people, there'll be so much out there. Like even for our age group, or even 10 years younger than us. Let's go 10 years younger than us. If they didn't live through the Attitude Era. And, you know, you have all of these options for shows on Netflix, be it like documentaries or series or whatever there is. Like, you're not going to, like, stick around and religiously watch this. And the thing is that they've just had a massive quarterly, and the whole thing was pumped up. The whole thing was centered around the fact that we had 11.2 billion hits across our social media content, right? Across our 11.2 billion views, which is great. But the thing is, what that says to me is the TV companies that are doing these deals, if I'm Fox or USA, I'm seeing that and going, all right, so people are deciding to digest your content in the short form, as opposed to the long form, which makes it appointment viewing, which is certainly isn't anymore, as more and more people are moving away from this product in terms of the live appointment viewing, in terms of I need to see Raw when it happens. It's so good. I need to see it as soon as it airs. It's like, nah, I've watched it for a long time. I'll check on it in terms of dedicating 3 minutes to 30 seconds to catch myself up. And I'll maybe dive in around about between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, if even that. So in fact, 11.2 billion, whereas like they're touting it as the main thing that makes their share price massive. I actually look at that and think, all right, well, that's a lot of people that are turning around and going, you know what? I can catch up with this shit without wasting 3 hours and watching loads of crappy matches that go through ad breaks and terrible talking segments. And as for last night, to me, that says to me that these people are defeated. It's like, look, I think there's a lot of people buying tickets that haven't seen anything for a long while. They watch this beforehand, but they're too fucking defeated to go there and shout, CM Punk, we want Bray. See, I think they're just fucking, I think they're like fucking beaten to death. Like, it's like, there's no point, because what can actually come of it?
Yeah.
Like, you can see them, it's like, we're going to, if you think of it from their perspective in terms of using up all that energy, and I'm hearing stories about, like, they were just outpiped, outdone by the piping, in terms of they came there with an agenda to do one thing, and then they're hearing people chanting Goldberg, but no one's chanting Goldberg, but they're hearing the Goldberg and they're confused. So how can they chant over the Goldberg when the agenda going into the show across social media was that we're going to boo Goldberg and we're going to chant "We Want Wyatt" across the Bliss stuff. We're going to boo Nikki Ash. We're going to boo Alexa Bliss. We're going to boo Goldberg. We're going to shit on things, and it was noticeable by the time that Miz thing came on last night with Damian Priest and Morrison, which was fucking awful and embarrassing.
Priest got flustered too.
Well, while that was on and the crowd were just silent, you could see it was late enough in the show where they had been beaten, because a couple of times where there had been like Wyatt chants when Goldberg was out, or CM Punk when the Drew McIntyre thing was out right at the beginning, they just managed to find where it was and turn those mics off. So they were doing a good job in terms of turning the mics off or drowning it out with other chants, like the Goldberg chants, which nobody was moving their mouths for, outdid what the fans intended to do. And 90 minutes in, you'd beaten them. And I think this was a semi-beaten crowd anyway. Like, we're all fucking beaten at this point. Like, I don't want to do these shows, but in terms of having this podcast and missing chunks of things where Bray Wyatt got released, WWE went to Chicago, Ric Flair quit. It's like, all right, we're really going to sit on our ass till the week before SummerSlam and not fucking do the show when we've got a wrestling podcast. You're obligated to do it, but at the same time, what you really want to be is, you want to be getting fucking decent offers on your app. For me, I want to be getting decent offers on my action figures. I want to really be able to cut ties with, the piles of things that, where it's like, okay, I went to this show, so I'm going to keep it. I did not go to this show, so I'm not going to keep it. I did not go to, I can get rid of these 1989, 1992 wrestling magazines. Like, I don't need this. I don't want the tie-ins to this product. Well, if I can cut off the tie-ins, then I can cut off this is the thing. I can't make the historical cutoff of turning around and separating that. Look, this old company with Hogan, Warrior, Savage, Attitude Era, it got shit. It got shit. Like, it's not the same thing. It's almost like when it turns to WWE, I should be saying to myself, well, that's not the WWF. I should be saying, oh, WWF is something that I used to watch and it was really good. WWE is some other shit that came after it that I hate. You know, like
Yeah.
so, and that would make the cutoff a lot more easier. It's like, I got some old WWF stuff from when I used to watch this wrestling, but the wrestling that comes on now is not the same thing. I wish I could do that, but every Mania every WrestleMania I've been to is WWE, so that would be a lie. But it gets to a point where like I'm looking for how I can be less tied to this. I'm looking for how I can be like less bothered by this, and that's the thing, like. And that's the thing. I think my kid like reached that point where he just watches less and doesn't care more. But then even on with this Bray news, that was a real one where he was just like, "This is fucking bullshit." So that got the reaction out of him. But I really don't know what's going on. And for people to turn around, obviously a lot of people turning around at the moment going, "I'll let you reply to all this in a minute." Where they're going, "Oh, you know, the other show's great. We'll start watching that other one instead." Okay, they're gonna have like all the better people, but if you actually watch that show, right? They're doing the same thing. It's like it's matches for the sake of matches that run through. It's it's not. I was saying to like Drew McIntyre the other day, wrestling needs its next like revolution. It's been the same fucking show now for about 20 years, where it hasn't actually evolved in any way. Like even like boxing at the moment, boxing is being beaten. Real boxing matches with real talented boxers are being beaten by the fights that have been put out by Triller, which is the celebrity fights with fucking musicians and everything around them. Like, look, Jake and Logan Paul came in as two fucking wrestling heels and beat all the real talented boxers at the box office, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, Conor McGregor has done better at UFC pay-per-views than legit fighters who are in everybody's top 10.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's not even a top 50 all-time fighter. Like as soon as he steps up in competitions, he loses. Like he's been completely exposed he's won one fight in the last 5 years.
Yeah, he hit the wall.
But he can still sell. So
yes.
there's something in that, and especially there's something in that when you have the ability to write a Conor McGregor and he doesn't have to lose. That's the beauty of what you have with the WWE. They don't understand what they have. They don't understand to do what they do. People are doing their thing better than them, and they've made no progress or made any evolution in the last 20 years, other than turning around and saying, "Oh, well, we've got a women's revolution." You don't. You recognised a gap in the marketplace. You forced women upon us after we basically looked them as sex objects and strippers for the past 20 years and loved it as well. Didn't give a shit. And suddenly we have to look at these women and have to put up with their fucking awful wrestling, give or take like 3 or 4 of them. Like everything is wrong here. Everything is wrong. There is 90% of the show I can't bear. I'm telling myself that SmackDown is a good show, but SmackDown is not a good show if you actually compare it to the real good shows of the past. It's just the best show that exists now. The SmackDowns that happen now, I would not have accepted them if they were happening in the mid-2000s, if they were happening during the Ruthless Aggression era. It's just a really fucking shit time where, like, if you don't get out now, you are an absolute lifer. But the thing is that what does that actually mean? Does that mean that you go to shows you're not going to enjoy? Does that mean you end up going to WrestleManias? Like, do you see them release a fucking cool-looking Hogan or Savage T-shirt or whatever, and then you end up buying it? Like, do you end up just fucking, just becoming by default a big fan of guys that are actually going out there and doing acceptable things like fucking Roman and Edge? Do you just turn around and say, oh yeah, they're all-time greats because they're great in this era where everybody else is so shit they look good? Like what do you actually do? I mean, like, look at fucking John Cena's being cheered out the fucking buildings now because people are so hungry for something. Yeah, people are so hungry for something that was remotely good. And when he was on top, they didn't even want him.
Nope. You don't know what you had until it's gone when it comes to that.
But that's the thing. Like, we're saying, did we have something so great, or were we right when we were saying, look, fucking hell, give someone a chance? I mean, I don't think we were wrong when we were turning around and saying, fucking hell, why is it always Cena? Like, at the time, that was the correct reaction. Yeah. But now it's a case of like, why? It's anything but these guys. It's anything but these fucking matches. Like, it's like you'll take Cena now because Cena talks and and cuts promos a lot better than these guys. Look how he got the crowd. Look how he got the
Yeah.
crowd into everything that he's done.
You know, when you say like with the Bray stuff, right? And first of all, you said if you're watching now, you're a lifer. I think you misspoke. I thought you meant the word loser. So with Bray, I always try to give the company the benefit of the doubt, like a moron, because haven't we
My point was
heard?
that if you've been watching a while and you get through this period, like you're a loser, but yeah, you're a
Yes,
lifer.
I know it was a play on the word. That's
yeah. Yeah, I think anybody that gets through this period is gonna stick with it.
yeah. We're there for the rest of our fucking lives, unfortunately. With the Bray stuff, haven't we heard like for quite a while now about his depression and he can't go to work and it's always something like this, like he can't. Is that the case that it's him more so not being able to get himself together to work, or is it that they don't know what to do with him? Because I thought it was more of the depression thing where I'd almost be on their side kind of for this, where you're like, enough already. Why do we fucking employ you? You can't fucking go to work. I don't want to deal with this. As good as someone is, you're like, well, if you fucking can't go to work, fuck your fucking crybaby, I'm depressed shit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, what is it? Is it that, or are they just don't have anything for him to fucking do? Which is the fucking story?
It's both. It's first of all, he wants to. So JoJo struggled with the pregnancy after the pregnancy, the postnatal stuff,
and she got released too. That was a little fucking quiet story, right?
Well, she got released, yeah, because she hadn't been to work for her, just because she was pregnant, and I don't think she was released though. I don't think she was released. I think they just turned around and said that. I think it was in between where she said, so she got pregnant and had a baby, and then she got pregnant again, like 3 months after being pregnant.
Sure.
Right. So that was the time where I believe that she just said, yeah. So what's happening is that they've got like fucking the second kid she's had. She's really fucking struggled with it, and he just said, "Look, we got 2 fucking babies at home. My fucking friend has just died, and him and Biggie and a couple of other people were on the inside track of that. It's like they were of the knowledge of he's dying.
Yeah,
like you need to go and see him, which they did, and then tell anybody about it. So that's different to like the guys that just work with him or whatever. So that's his like best friend that's dead, and obviously he has that relationship with Strowman. I think is the godparent to his second child, right? So he's gone as well. So he's surrounded. He's seeing all those people go. Like one died, one got released, and his wife's fucking struggling at home. They had 2 kids back to back. So you're dealing with a 1-year-old and a newborn, which is going to get even harder. Like that is going to get lethal when it gets to 4 and 3. Trust me, I know, because I only fucking deal with Austin, and over the last 2 months I've had Austin and a fucking puppy, and it's like I've wanted to kill both and just leave England at certain points, especially because I've got a broken leg. So you can imagine, like, I'm fucking. I've been on my crutches, and I've like put my cast down into like dog piss, or I can smell dog shit that Austin's ignored. Yeah, so it's all that shit's been done. So that's partly down to the reason why when he took the big break at the start of the year, it was the whole combination of things. He's like, look, I've been taking time because I've been asking for as much time as I can because of the 2 kids, but now it's the whole situation. I want to come off with my friend. And then when he came back, when he always agreed to come back at WrestleMania, this was when the first issue was like, yeah, it's not, I don't feel like I'm ready to come back, but I'll do Mania for you because you've already fixed me into the plans, which is why we saw that loss. So then what happened is that we've had these discussions about what he's going to come back and do. Now, these discussions have gone poorly, and we're talking about, and this is with a guy who has argued about his character throughout. I mean, me, a complete stranger, apart from the fact that he knows he's had pictures with Austin every year.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like a thing that we have with Bray, because there's a trail of Austin getting a year older and him changing his hairstyles. Because he doesn't always have the same hairstyles in the ring as he does outside of the ring, because he's had like we've caught him with a bun, we've caught him with dreads that he had privately. Yeah, so loads of like he was been fucking around with his hair. So like that's what he always mentions. But so he recognized Austin, had the photo straight away, and he was talking to me. Austin actually asked him straight up. He goes, Austin said to him, he goes, what happened? He goes, what happened at Hell in a Cell? He goes, I don't know. He goes, did you think it was bad? He's talking to the kids. He goes, did you think it was bad? And Austin's just like, oh, it was terrible. He was like, I agree with you. And so by this time, he'd already won the championship in Saudi Arabia. So we were talking about what it's supposed to be. And then he's like telling me, he just goes into it. It's like, they don't understand my character. It's like he wanted to fucking tell people.
Somebody,
it's like he almost like, he's like, he wants to say, he goes, hey, this wasn't my shitty idea.
Yeah,
goes,
right. It's
idea.
not me. Don't look at me.
Yeah, it's like he wants to tell everybody, like, it's not my. I mean, and if you're like going around and going, hey, like what you're seeing, that ain't me. Like that's not what it was supposed to be. It's like, it was already not going right at this point, and we've seen nothing on TV that's moved it in the right direction. I mean, all we saw after that is he actually this is before he got beaten by Goldberg, and he was telling me it was rubbish, and it was being done wrong. And he's like, it's like fucking banging your head against a brick wall and telling me things like, oh, we got loads of young guys, they're great, they understand everything. He goes, it's just the main guys. It's just the main guys that don't understand what I'm trying to do. So that was at the end of 2019. Since then, got beaten by Goldberg, and we've had that like the Firefly Funhouse match, and really, he's not even really been on TV that much. He won the title for like a week and then lost it to Roman, and he's been pretty much off TV since then. So it's not like it's like a reoccurring character. It seems like a character that's really, they find it difficult to book, and they won't take his ideas. And the issue is he won't take theirs. Now, that's always been a lot of the reason why the TV time has been limited. But when you've been sitting off for about 6 months and you turn around, you're supposed to come back at Mania, and you told them you weren't ready, and you needed a little bit more time, you needed a few more months, and then they call you up and say, oh, okay, you ready now? And you say, yeah, and they start chucking creative at you. You say no. It's okay when you were saying no, and arguing about everything that you want to do, but it reached a point where you've lost all of your sort of credit. You've lost all of your fucking right to say no. Like you've relinquished it, because from their part, as much as they are shit writers, they are fucking terrible, especially the main two people on that show, which is Bruce Pritchard and Vince McMahon. They have no idea what they're doing. He knows he doesn't understand the character, right? But the problem is he hasn't stayed on TV, and he hasn't made himself available to fight for it and turn it around. All he's had is he's decided to take his time off. They've called him up when they need him to come in, and then he's argued about what they've asked him to do every single time. So if you've worked if you've worked a few months in the last year, and they call you up and say what you're going to do, like that is pretty much like at that time you've kind of given the character to them, in terms of you've then got to make the decision where you turn around and say, right, do I just want to get an income here? Or do I want to fight for it? Or do I want to fucking fight for this character? Because it reached a point where he took too much time off. You can't do both. The difference between that is when Drew McIntyre takes a sword in his hand and says that, I gotta like pick my fights. You turn around and say, well, that's the one you should have picked. And the thing is that he's got fucking 6 hours a day of media calls behind him, turning up for every fucking Make-A-Wish possible, doing every interview they asked him to do, doing every shitty thing that he did on TV. If he wanted to say no to something, he should have said no to something, because he can turn around and go, look, I don't say no to anything. I haven't said no to one interview. I haven't said no to one stupid idea and creative, but I don't want to have the sword. All right?
Yeah.
He could have won that. I really feel that like he'd worked hard enough to win that. This guy hasn't worked hard. He worked hard on his character, but he's been sitting at home for most of the year. So when they call you to come back to work, at that point, I don't think you have any character say left. And I think that's where like the whole thing just, I think they turn around and goes, fuck this guy. Like, he doesn't come to work. We call him up. We tell him what we want to do. He doesn't want to do what we want to do. He only wants to do what he wants to do. And he only wants to come to work when he wants to come to work. So I think at that point, like, you fire him or you fucking trust him and like fully and turn around and go, okay, what is your idea? Look, we're not going to understand it anyway, but we're going to put it where we don't understand it, but we're going to put it on TV, and we're going to see if other people understand it on social media, and the younger writers or whoever. We're going to see. That's the problem with Vince McMahon. He doesn't actually. Nothing gets on TV unless he likes it.
Yeah.
Right. And there's never a trial. There's never a trial done with the actual audience. The audience don't get to have a taster of anything that any wrestler wants to do. It's like it doesn't get past that fucking 75-year-old washed up, no idea piece of shit wall of Vince. It's like, oh, I don't get it. I don't like it. Who cares? You're nearly dead. Who fucking cares? Like, who cares what you think? You fucking finished. Like, you're out of touch completely. No one cares.
He was out of touch 100 years ago when Punk fucking left.
Like, fucking get Shane in. Like, he works for fucking Ideanomics and whatnot. Like, see if he gets it. See if Triple H gets it. See if, like, your fucking 20-year-old writer gets it. Like, look at their faces. Like, sit in a room and let them in and see. Let Bray come in and talk and see how they're buzzing off the idea. Like, fucking, you may not have any clue anymore what a good idea is, but surely you have the fucking brains and the eyesight to read the room. And you can see that, oh, look, this guy came in and spoke and fucking 25 people are excited. I don't know what he's talking about because I'm a fucking corpse. But at least I've got the brains to see that these kids that we hire to write for us are buzzing off the idea. Like, he's getting them all excited and they're laughing and they're understanding and they're nodding their heads. Like, Jesus Christ, like, read the room, read the body language, read the response, let the guy in, watch the guy talk pitch idea to other people. I mean, unless Vince thinks that, like, they're all fucking yes men too, and they won't have the guts to stand up to one of his fucking wrestlers. I don't know what the mindset is, but all I know is the problem is that the ideas get filtered through one person, and Paul Heyman couldn't get his ideas past this person, and Bray Wyatt can't get his ideas past this person. So that's the big problem. So so getting back to my point, the only thing they could have done is they could have said, look, we don't get it, but you put it on TV and we'll see how it does. And if it doesn't do well, then you're gonna have to do things our way. And their way is always like, oh, so you're the Undertaker, like it's the new Undertaker, it's the Sting, it's the Vanishing, it's the Magic, it's not none of that. It's a fucking cult leader who is trying to manipulate people through the TV screen. Like, it's much more intellectual than that. It's a conspiracy theorist as a wrestler. It's all the things that Nick calls me on WhatsApp as a character.
It's funny that, like, people, we've talked about, like, the writers before, where of course everybody attacks, like, the writers because they don't know, like, inside stuff, where we then heard from people, no, the writers are coming up with good stuff. It's just always fucking axed by the fucking boss at the end. So it's like, you have all these writers, but you don't let them do anything. So it's got to be very defeating even going there. You're like, oh, fucking nothing happens. And to the point you say about letting Bray do what he wants, if it doesn't work, you got to do what we say. It can't be any worse than the fucking ratings anyway. I mean, it's like, so if it fails, what are they so fucking worried about? Do they think everything else they do is not a failure, apparently? And like, we can't have one failure here. Well, meanwhile, their whole show's a failure. And now we got the reports of Alexa Bliss, asking for a release, which I laugh right off the bat because I go, oh, she's marrying a millionaire. Of course, she's going to sit on her pussy all day. But she's so fucking fragile that people tweeting and yelling going, oh, Alexa Bliss steals his idea and does it poorly, but you keep her. Like, and she gets all upset by people attacking her about it, where she has nothing to fucking do with it. And it's like, she's so thin-skinned, she can't just be like, the fuck do I have to fucking do with it? They give me this and I do my job. But because people think like she's actually stealing a fucking idea or anything, she didn't have a fucking idea in her head. But now she wants to fucking leave. Multiple people, like Adam Cole's contract's up in 2 weeks. AJ, who fucking, when his contract's fucking up, he says he's fucking gone. It's like, there is another place to go, and that's the problem for the WWE, that all these people can go over to another side, and the only thing holding back that other side is it's not the big time. And if you're like into wrestling, which these people have done their lives, you want to say you've made it to the major leagues. Yeah, you'll get paid still, and you could always go, listen, I'd rather have money than, say I was here. Who cares? I mean, at my point in my life now, I would be like, I could care less if I was in that fucking minor league system if you paid me fucking well. That's what matters in my fucking life. When I was in my 20s, I was like, if they paid me enough to work from check to check, I would take WWE over if WCW paid me millions. That's how bad I was back then. I would have taken enough to live from WWE, and it's like fucking a sweatshop. And I'm like, yes, Massa, I'll take it because you're the end-all, be-all, and I grew up with you, and I am in love with you. And
that's what Bret Hart did. That's what Bret Hart, when Bret Hart re-signed with him, he took half the money. He took half the money per year.
And it's loyalty. This is where I want to be. I've been here. He's comfortable, I'm sure. He knows everybody. There's no new whatever, all that shit. But in the real world, it'd be like, all right, I understand it. AEW wants to pay me fucking 3 times what fucking WWE wants. What does WWE have to offer me? Exposure is what they have to offer me. And maybe I could grow this into something else. But if I don't, guess who's fucked? I'd rather fucking make that money, and you're still making a name on the other side. If you do succeed in that minor league thing, the big time's still going to want you, and you will make fucking more. So you're better off. And Tony Khan, it's the same as, Billionaire Ted over there. You have all that money. So he will just throw money at fucking things where Punk could fucking ask for whatever. Because if I was Tony Khan and Punk was available, I'd hand him a blank check. It'd be like, he is somebody who can fucking move the needle for sure. I mean, after that long of being gone, people have not forgotten. People love the man. I would be like, you're going to make me my money back in 4 minutes.
I don't know about all this. I tell you, there's so much to say here. First of all, these contract situations, let's just brush over them. Sure. Sasha's got a year left. So everybody in the 4 Horsewomen had their contracts changed, except for Bayley. And because Bayley didn't ask or go for a new deal at any point, she was rewarded last year with a push and a contract that was given to her by herself. But the other women, they all had 5-year deals starting in 2015, and one by one, everybody got a new deal. So I'm talking about the ones that Stephanie introduced in that stupid, ridiculous shit that she did, where she made up them factions. But Charlotte was the first. Within a year, Charlotte wasn't getting $250,000 a year and wasn't on the same 5-year deal. So that was altered immediately. But because it was altered so quick, her contract would be coming up soon as well. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with her. But I know she was the first one to change her deal. I think that would have been either 2016 or maybe 2017 at the latest, I would say. But yeah, her 5-year changed. It didn't run out in 2020 anymore. No one's does. Next up, and I think this was the real one that fucked off Sasha Banks, was that Bliss was given a new deal before her. Bliss came in actually didn't even come in on $250,000. She came in on $150,000 and was immediately bumped up because she got bigger than Sasha, and Becky initially,
Mm-hmm.
and she immediately was on a $500,000 deal, while Sasha was making half of that, whilst being considered the better wrestler. Now, then this is where Sasha starts to get pissed off when Alexa Bliss gets more money than her, and then Becky gets more money than her, and Becky's the one who's got the $1 million contract. So she's got more than Charlotte and Bliss. And Sasha was the last one. And Sasha was sitting at home, and they were telling her, like, when are you coming back? And she was like, I'm not coming back on this deal in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So she worked the shit money for 4 years for $250,000.
You imagine shit money is $250,000.
250K. Well, that, it's what you come in on from NXT. So
Yeah.
I mean, so she worked that, and she watched fucking Charlotte and Becky and Bliss get new deals, and literally she was only like 8 months away from having her contract expire, and which is where she was basically turning around and going, I'll just sit my contract out and go to AEW when it starts next. So she didn't. So she got that new deal and came in with the blue hair and the push and everything. And like, so that's the thing. Like, Sasha's deal does have like fucking time on it, but it's like from 2018 to 2023. That's going to go quick because 2023 is next year.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Like,
we got 22 to come. We're in 21.
Oh right, yeah. So yeah, so
I missed my wedding.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like her deal is
Still going to be quick. It comes quickly, I thank you.
Yeah, but like no, it's 22 because it's 3 years. It's not 5. It's 3 years on top of the 19, so it is 22.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, it's still a year away. And so as for the other ones, Adam Cole, he had a 3-year deal. Normally when you see guys come in, they usually come in on 3-year deals, and if they put them onto they come on from NXT on 3-year deals or 1-year deals, and then they get 5-year deals if they do well. They're like someone like an Owens or a Miz or a Drew. They're all like on 5 years. But that's what they give to most people. But so Adam Cole got 3 years on NXT, an NXT deal from 2017 to 2020. When he renewed for 1 year, the idea was to keep him at NXT, but just put his money up to like what a main roster guy would get.
Mm-hmm.
And the thinking would be like, at some point, you would go to the main roster, and you'd already be on main roster money, but you would just do a few more months on NXT. Well, the whole year has gone by, and he's on NXT on main roster money, with no contract offer and no plans to go onto the main roster at all. So when people are turning around and going, Adam Cole's leaving, it's also partly down to the fact that they haven't given anything else to Adam Cole. So they've not turned around and gone, here's a 3-year contract for the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think there's a situation there where everybody look, Vince McMahon's not desperate to have him. Adam Cole knows Vince. Adam Cole knows Vince is not desperate to have him. Triple H isn't going to be the guy who lies to a guy that he likes. He's not going to turn around and go, oh, let's get you down to a 3-year deal. Like, let's get you onto a 3-year deal. Like, you're going to be a big star. He knows he's not, because he deals with a guy who hasn't asked for this guy once. So I think it's just a situation of cutting ties. It's not a case of anybody going. Ric Flair, that situation is just Ric Flair wants to be on TV, and he constantly calls them up and asks like, how, what can if they've got what can I do? And the cutoff point was, he told him flat out, I want to be on SummerSlam. I want to be involved in that show.
Mm-hmm.
And they said okay. And then when he contacted them over the last week, they said, no, we can't find a place for you at SummerSlam. There's nothing that we can see for you. So he just said, well, just let me go then. Because obviously,
so he actually asked to get out. So it's not like they fired him.
No, he's been asking to do stuff for a while, and the final straw was, I want to be involved in the stadium show. Because he was actually left off Mania, I believe.
So then it does make sense that you could see them possibly letting Cena win because they're angry that he's like, fuck you, let me go. So they're like, fuck your record.
No, Cena's not winning. Cena's not winning. So who's moving? I don't know if it's the dog or Austin. So that's what that sort of brings us up to date with contracts. Moving ahead, on my list I had Bobby Lashley expiring, but I think he signed a new deal in April. So I don't know if he'd be a 5-year guy at his age. AJ Styles signed for 3 years in 2016, came in at the Royal Rumble, with Anderson and Gallows also signed at the same time. They left, obviously, but in 2019, AJ renewed his 3-year deal for more money. So as you can do the maths, that runs out at the 2022 Royal Rumble, which is not that far away.
Yeah,
and now he's in a program as well with Randy Orton. So if you work with Randy Orton, you tend to leave straight after.
That's the kiss. And where the fuck is Randy Orton? What's going on?
That one I can't answer for you.
Really? So nobody knows what's going on. He's just fucking off TV, and no one knows why.
Yeah, no, I imagine it's like a minor injury or something, but I'm not too sure. And getting on to the other thing that you said, with this whole thing about Punk's going to move the needle and Punk's going to save this, that, and the other. Here's the issue with all of this, right? They have a fan base that buys the Wrestling Observer, that reads the Wrestling Observer. It's that type of fan, okay?
Yeah.
This is the fan that they deliberately targeted. They seeked out dirt sheet approval. They thought it was important to have all of these dirt sheets on side. He thought that there was a value in having 5-star matches and everything of that nature. I could have told him from the beginning there isn't. I could have told him at the beginning is that if you buy the Wrestling Observer, you will automatically watch every Raw, every SmackDown, and anything that comes from an old. These guys would have watched Impact Wrestling at its peak, right?
Sure.
Maybe you don't watch Japan, maybe you don't watch TNA anymore, maybe you don't watch Ring of Honor, maybe you don't, right? But if you buy the Wrestling Observer, you at the very least watch Raw, and you used to watch Nitro, and you tried to watch TNA maybe periodically, and you would watch AEW anyway. So you did not, and you never need to. You never need to go and get those people. Their show is now so orientated to those people to the point where we have people online going, if Adam Page gets fucked out of his title match in Chicago and it ends up being CM Punk, we need to riot. So to assume that all of Chicago got the tickets and they're all Punk fans when this show was sold out, the pay-per-view was sold out immediately, and now so is the Rampage show. To assume that it's all Chicago residents that used to watch WWE is wrong, because there's a portion of these fans that are behind these little midgets that work there, like these nobodies. There's guys that think Adam Page is getting fucked if he doesn't dethrone Kenny Omega, and they decide to make the business decision to go with CM Punk. So to simply think that everybody be on board with this is not correct, especially with this fan base. So I think there'll be enough people that will go crazy about it, and I think there's potential there to bring in the casual viewers. But the problem is that this fan base, once they engage with you, look, it's the same problem that UFC had with growth. When UFC were trying to grow, you would have people that would there would be people that would try and talk or give their predictions on the social media platforms where they would turn around and say, oh, I think he's going to win or whatever. And it would be very much like generic kind of predictions like, oh, Conor McGregor's going to win in round 1. And these guys would turn around and they would destroy all the fans. They'd be like, how fucking dare you? Like, there actually was how dare you speak about our sport. And they would basically annihilate all opinions that weren't as expert and as polished as theirs. So this is the kind of thing that you're going to continue to see, where these fans, they don't want to they don't want to share this product. There's a reason why there's an ECW chant or a TNA chant or an AEW chant, right? Or an NXT chant as well. It's because there's small companies that are inhabited by like their fan base, and their fan base become very passionate because they feel a part of the product. Nobody's ever felt part of WWE. WWE's always been big, WWE's always been like, well, you don't chant WWE because, WWE is wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, you don't support WWE is not your team. Your team is like the people that need your support.
Yeah, the little
right?
niche ones.
WWE, WWE is like a team that wins every year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'll always be the number one company
They're the
every
Yankees,
year. Like, yeah, right. Financially, or the Yankees don't win ever. But
they're known as
but,
number one. Sure, I got you.
Right. So it doesn't warrant that kind of that support. Instead, people like latch on to the alternatives, and that's what AEW is. As soon as AEW doesn't makes any attempt, if it does, to come out as the alternative, they'll receive a backlash from these people. The problem is how you react to that backlash. Now, if you ignore it, it will eventually go away. And the perfect example of that is Matt Riddle being a rapist and all this shit that was thrown about it. Like, WWE handled that perfectly. They turned around and said, no, he didn't do it. He said he didn't do it. Like, there's no proof that he did it. He's come out. He's acknowledged his story. His wife's going to stay with him. That's good enough for us. And eventually now we've got to the point where he's pretty popular with the same people. Like, they gave up. Now, and they carried on watching. They gave up, and they carried on watching. Nobody was ever going to stop if the Velveteen Dream carried on working at the company, right? There was no need to fire him. The Riddle thing was handled perfectly, and that is the key thing to the development of this AEW. If they ignore these little pricks who think that their opinion is too important, and if they ignore the Dave Meltzer, and if they continue to, and if they do put Punk in this position, and they do start to book a mainstream product, which is centered around the guys that they have like Hager and Wardlow and people and Moxley and people and the people things that people recognize, people that will make you stop and watch the channel. Getting in more attractive women, giving Penelope Ford like a proper spot where she's featured on TV doing something. Doesn't necessarily have to be wrestling. If they start to book a show which utilizes the star power that they have and is for other people, then they can grow. At least they can grow to what WWE have. But personally, I don't think that I predict that their show, their Dynamite show and their Rampage show, none of them will hit 1.5 million, even with CM Punk there, because of the way that the show is booked.
See,
and who it's written for.
My thought with the CM Punk thing is, like you're saying, they've already got their core audience and this and that, but don't you think that brings over a lot of people that were more just I'm WWE because he's there, at least for sure in the very beginning?
At the very beginning, depends what they see when they get there. I'll use Austin as the perfect example, and I'll let you know when he's back, and I'll let you know where he's at with that, because he's only interested in watching for Punk, right?
Me too.
So he's excited for when it comes around. So he's gonna have to turn around and watch it. But the problem is that when Punk's not on TV, and you're then watching, fucking Orange Cassidy, or you're watching Jungle Boy, or you're watching these fucking guys doing their matches. This shit, like where Orange Cassidy does that thing where he's too lazy to hit you properly, and he does that thing where he taps you with he was doing that thing with Sting. These fucking guys were sharing that around like this is the greatest thing ever, and that's the divide. That is the divide, because unless you're an indie mark and you're into that and you knew what the character was, you're not going to turn around and watch that and think, oh, this is really fucking great and funny. And there's also so many, if you're not in love with it, there's only so many times that you'll find that funny. It's like you can watch him do his thing like 2-3 times and it's funny. They just continue to find it funny. I don't think because they genuinely do. I think it's because they have like obsessive support for the product and the person, where they just want it to succeed so much. Now, the new fans that you come on, they're not going to have that. They're watching solely for entertainment purposes. They're not the AEW fans at the moment are fans. I would consider them fans of the AEW sports team, right? That's at the moment. That's their sports team. They probably don't even watch real sports because they're losers, right? But this is the closest thing that they have. What you're going to have in a month's time is an infiltration of their sports team. It's going to be like when fucking You know how like fucking tourists probably go to Boston to watch the fucking Patriots, and or like when you go to the Giants, there's all tourists watching there and stuff. It's like that, like the people that go there and then love the team or whatever, that they don't like it, and this is going to be, you know, worse than that. Where it's going to, and the thing is that also when you have all this other stuff on the TV, and CM Punk gets his return and his pop and everything like that, in 4 weeks' time, is it going to be worth watching CM Punk do his WWE character once the pop and the shock and everything's out of the way, and Punk's supporting cast is a bunch of guys that you don't want to see? Are you even watching for CM Punk anymore?
You know what? When it all comes down to, and it's the same over in WWE. If somebody could do a fucking storyline, and it's the only thing I have hope for with the AEW thing is they're more in charge of like their own storylines. They'll do what they can come up with. So I have more faith that the wrestler can come up with a storyline.
Yeah, have you seen the result of that? Have you seen how awful everything Cody Rhodes has done has been for the last year?
Yeah, that I understand, because I feel like Cody, you know, thinks higher of himself than it truly is, or so. You know, it is an odd thing to see Cody. He's very, I mean, with the fucking suits and stuff, like, it's like, I think he just feels he's like, I'm the most important thing in wrestling. That's what it looks like all the time. Like, his promos always seem like, oh, this is going to be profound, what I say, you know, and I'm going to be so passionate and profound. This is going to shake the world. You know, it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it will. Like, it will have an effect. But the problem is that with this audience, with this show, and with this guy's, you know, being so desperate to appease them, and being too scared to like go outside the box and turn around and say like, look, we've got these guys. Now we need to make moves. Now we need to try and find out how we're gonna fucking get the Billies and the Cavs and the Umars and the Nicks to watch this show every week, because we're there. Mm-hmm. Like we're willing. Nick not so much, but the rest of us, we're willing to watch wrestling on a week-to-week basis. Yeah. We have 5-6 hours that we will give it, right? And you know, if it means that like I end up watching a highlight version of Raw or a highlight version of AEW. Look, if I watch a highlight show of AEW every week, that's more AEW than I'm watching right now. Right? I'm now watching it if I hear that it was worth watching. Like, I watched that fucking Jericho match this week, and that was fucking awful. And that was a case of, Jesus, like, it's crazy because you can work that hard, or you can do all that stuff to each other, and it doesn't mean anything. It still just looks really bad. It was a slow match. Like, Jericho's at snail's pace. The other guy has no fucking talent, other than he's willing to cut himself and get thrown through shit. It's not like when Foley was, and that's the thing. When people say around and go, oh, well, what was Mick Foley? Wasn't that because, you know, you built to everything, and there was like, you know, when he was doing that shit, you know, there was still a load of matches that you can go to, like the matches with Shawn Michaels and during.
Yeah, and Foley didn't kill himself constantly anyway. You know, there was 1 or 2 spots maybe he would do. You know, it wasn't, I'm just gonna fucking kill myself.
Oh, as part of a good match, like in terms of, you know, there was
there's a reason for it. Like,
yeah. I mean, just go and look at that fucking the Triple H match. Like, you know, there were bumps in that, the Royal Rumble one from 2000. There were bumps and things in there as well, but it was all, you know, when he got the bat out or when he fell onto the bat, it was a huge pop. It wasn't like, now we're going to hit you with the strobe light.
Yeah, let me go try to find something else to hit you with.
Yeah, every time. It was a big difference between a hardcore title match and a Mick Foley match.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what this Nick Gage guy couldn't do. Like, but the thing is that the internet, he's an internet sensation at the moment with this fan base. He's a sensation on the indies, so they brought him in.
Yeah, because of the Dark Side of the Ring. That's the only reason. That's the only way I even knew who he was.
Right. So if you're doing a wrestling show where you're bringing in people from Dark Side of the Ring and you're having Conrad Thompson on your television show, and Tony Schiavone got his job back because he's podcasting again, and like if you're making all of these decisions based on such a niche a niche group of people. Like I don't see how you can progress, and you're almost tied down to that now. Like they're so spoiled, they're so used to having the product that they have. Once you start tailoring it for other people, they're going to turn around. They're not going to stop watching, but they're going to probably like verbally reject it, and they're going to start saying shit about it online. And it's like, then it's the fact that I don't think this guy has the balls to resist that. I don't think he has the balls to see all that online criticism and turn around and go, you know what, I need to stay the path. I need to run this like a business. My dad didn't give me $100 million to lose.
Yeah. Shit, that must be a good problem.
Yeah, like, you know, at some point we have to like fucking turn a profit. We cannot continue to let these people run the company and do everything for them. We have to go and look out for other money. I would like to think that is what the Punk deal is. I definitely don't think that's what the Daniel Bryan deal is. I think you're moving in the right direction if you go out and get Braun Strowman, Bray Wyatt, and CM Punk. I do.
You have to,
and you put them into prominent positions. But I don't know, with Daniel Bryan and Adam Cole, it seems like you're just doing more of the same for the same people. Look, we don't want to watch the same show as Aiden.
You know, right? It's funny because I'm thinking about the people who watch, and I'm like, I can't imagine that somebody thinks this is always good. And there have to be people out there that think every Raw is really good, and it was a really good show, and it's mind-boggling to me that somebody could really think that, but there are those fucking, you know, zombies out there.
In what sense?
That they will think everything they do, WWE or whatever, AEW, everything, like, oh, it's a great show. I don't know why people complain. I don't know why. Like, you'll see those nerds every once in a while when you complain on Twitter. They're like, if you don't like it, then fucking don't watch. Because they're mad because you're angry at their boyfriend's product. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's everything they do is perfect. Where, meanwhile, I probably was one of those people in my 20s where I was like, don't you dare say anything bad about my fucking wrestling. And I think it's a matter of growing up.
When they turn around and go, oh, if you don't like it, don't watch. Like, at the moment, people are turning around and going, okay, then I won't. And they are going to other things. And they're not going, you know, when people turn around and go, oh, WWE is really shit, they don't then turn around and go, oh, I'm going to go over and try out AEW. They just turn around and go, wrestling is shit. Because for such a long time, like for so many years, don't forget, when they turn around and go, oh, WWE is shit, they mean wrestling, right? They mean it's been on its own for 20 years, right? So this alternative being out there, like for other people, it's just a case of, oh, like, you know, who's over there? It's like, oh, Cody Rhodes, who was Stardust. John Moxley, the worst member of the Shield. Shit, look, didn't Jericho get fat? Oh, well, who are these other guys? Oh, midgets. Like, you know, they look over there. It's like, I'm not going from this to that. If this has got bad, that has to be worse, right? The big difference, the big fucking difference in this CM Punk signing, and why the only way it can work is because this is the first guy who you look at it and go, oh, he didn't leave because he wasn't getting a push. All these other guys like Rusev and Cody and Jericho and John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, they were all people where fans were turning around and going, oh, shit, like they're not doing anything with them, right?
Yeah.
Or they're not doing enough with them. He's a guy who they did not push down to the bottom of the card. He's a guy who they want, who everybody wants to see come back right at the top. Like there's no doubt that the only way that he would come back would be at the top. They know this is the first person, this is the first and only person that they have beaten WWE to. He's a real fucking asset that's out there. Like he is. It's the same as stealing Cena. It's the same as signing Brock. It's not. I would say only The Rock is bigger. right? Underneath AEW getting The Rock, this is the because with Brock, it's like even if Brock went there, it's like okay, they got Brock, that's huge. I can go watch Brock over there, but Brock's only been off TV for a year, right? If they get Cena, it's slightly bigger because he's it's not about the amount of time he's been off TV, but Cena's like a global star. Punk isn't, but with Punk it's different because people have been so desperate to see him for so long, and now all of a sudden it's going to be on the other side. It's not like it's not like signing Daniel Bryan, who got beaten by Roman Reigns, and like there's nothing you can do with him. All of these other guys are used up, and they were like not going anywhere else. This is the first ever, like as I said, I reiterate, the first ever and only signing that AEW have got. This is the only thing that actually, when people turn around and go, oh, we got a war going on that, because when Hall and Nash walked out, there were contracts on the table. For them to leave. Like when Bret Hart was available, like they were fighting over him, right?
Yeah.
This is different. Like all the guys that left WWE is like, all right, see that. It's like they're all released, or they were all told that look, this is as high as you're going to go. So this is the first guy. This is the only guy out there. Like where it's like, okay, we wanted him and we didn't get him, and now we're scared.
Well, on that, we should probably close it out. Where is the best place if people want to chat with you on Twitter?
Chat with me.
Yeah, people like to chat with you. I see all the time.
Yeah. Well, I'm at SGP Soccer on Twitter, and my wrestling stuff is at Patreon, thedirtyshoots.com. And it's only $5 a month, and you get all of the newest news. I'm also on Russo's show each Friday as well.
Yeah, a lot of Russo stuff, which I'm gonna have to tell you to talk to him for me, because the guy doesn't reply to anything I fucking send. Like, what the hell? What the fuck's going on? So I'm asking him about the next show. No reply. I fucking asked him something about fucking baseball, just for shits, because I know he's busy with the Giants and I'm in Giants territory. No reply. I go, okay, all right. Well, let me know when you want to do the fucking show. Jesus Christ. He's busy with Drake Wirtz, I think. That's what's going
on. He's busy with that, like, the Realm Network thing.
Yeah. With Jesus Christ. Fucking, I'm like, you get me on that Realm Network, Billy, when we do our shit. I'm going to eviscerate half the people that are working on that network. I'm going to line them up, baby, and stack them 10 high. Especially that fucking
our show is about sports betting, though.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't matter. I could still talk shit about people. That'll still be coming out of my mouth because I am me. And I had a whole fucking segment on old Drake Wirtz on my show, fucking crying about fucking kids wearing masks like a fucking weirdo.
Kids shouldn't be wearing masks.
It's fucking ridiculous, this guy. The reason for it, because child molesters and kidnappers can kidnap them and they can't give visual signals. Get the fuck out of here. Because the mask is like a fucking a bubble over their head where no one can hear them scream, I guess. Fucking moron. I mean, listen, if you have a job in NXT and you're fucking making a good living and you're lucky as fuck to even be there, are you going in the fucking corner to fucking do FaceTime for a fucking town hall? Fucking moron. That's all. That's all. That's all.
Well, so did you hear what happened with? So this Friday, I had my free YouTube show taken off.
Which one? Where for that you do a YouTube show, or you mean on the Russo's Network YouTube show? That one, the Nitty Gritty.
So I did a Nitty Gritty show. It's not on YouTube. It's on the Patreon page.
Okay.
But we always do 15 minutes or 30 minutes on YouTube. It turns out to be for free before we record it to promote what's going on tomorrow's show.
Okay.
So I went on a rant like about Cornet and was talking about the people that are complaining about the people that are coming in. Like, they were saying, oh, we're going to leave your net. We're going to leave your network if Aubrey Huff and Val Venus come in. Like, why are you giving these people a platform?
Yeah.
And he was like, because of the free speech and all that. And I basically went on there and said, like, fucking If they leave, they leave. Like, we're getting rid of the fucking idiots that don't stand for this, what this is. I said, personally, like, it doesn't matter whether I agree with you or not that you should be able to speak up. But I said, for Val Venus and those guys personally, I don't really have a lot of different views. I said, it's just these people now think that they can fucking stop everybody from saying what they're saying. Like, they made Hulk Hogan a racist when he worked with black people for years and they disregarded it. And not only did they get him fired, they then wanted to cancel him permanently when he comes back. Yeah. Enzo Amore is like tagged as a rapist with no convictions other than being convicted by Twitter.
Yep.
They decided to do that. They say all these things about Val Venus, like you're not allowed to have an opinion. I said, for me, turning around and saying your son or daughter doesn't want to marry a black person isn't racist. Turning around and saying that you want black people to die, we want all black people dead, that's racist. Yes. Turning around that you want fucking gays, and I said this exact comment. I said, turning around and saying that you want all gays like burnt alive or you don't want to be near them is homophobic, right? Turning around and saying I don't understand why you'd want to fucking bend me over and fuck my hairy ass rather than bending over a woman. That choice doesn't make sense to me, and it certainly doesn't warrant any kind of parade, which is what they get every year. I said I don't understand what they're getting a parade for. Like, I don't understand.
But there's a parade for fucking. You know what? All parades are retarded because there's a parade for being Irish. There shouldn't be a fucking parade for that either.
Yeah. So I said I appreciate and like to have sex with beautiful women, and there's no parade for that. I said, so if you make the choice to do what they do, I said, where's the parade for? I said, I don't care if they're doing it. It doesn't bother me at all. I said, if I was bothered by it or homophobic in any way, then I wouldn't have done gay magazines and taking their money after Big Brother. The fact is
gay magazines. What have you done? Gay magazines doing what?
I did loads of gay. I did like interviews.
Oh, okay. I thought you were fucking got a dick in your ass in a gay magazine. I don't know.
No.
Jerking off, right?
No, not porno, not gay porno magazines.
Gay magazine.
Gay mag. Okay. So I said I wouldn't. I said if you want me to think it's normal to turn around and be a man fancies a man when you got these fucking incredible women walking around, that I'll never understand.
You don't believe that someone's just born with a different different brain where they find that that they want that? You think it's a choice?
I do.
Oh, you're
I do think I don't think it's a choice, but I do think that for me, I do think it's like it's like you can be born with that brain, but that also means that your brain isn't right.
Well, that's the thing though too, because I always think, okay, what if it's Twilight Zone? What if everything's flipped and I'm the outcast because I'm into girls, and now do I go, well, I guess I'll just force myself to fucking be with a guy because that's supposed to be the norm, and I am fucking miserable. I am grossed out. I'm disgusted because I'm into chicks. It'll be the same thing.
It's not the same thing, because the fact is that we reproduction occurs only when we do the right things, not when we do the alternative things. It's an alternative lifestyle. Whether they can have as many fucking parades as they want, it's an alternative lifestyle, right? It's not the lifestyle that you're supposed to have, because otherwise men would be having babies with men and women would be having babies with women, and we'd all have a choice to go either way. There's only one way that science works, and that's boy and girl, right? That's a fact. If you want to do if you want to live the alternative lifestyle, unfortunately, that means you're wired a little bit incorrectly. I don't have a problem with it if you're born that way and you have that wiring. The same way I don't have a problem with disabled people, but the fact is that is what it is. And that's for fucking transgenders. Like, don't even get me fucking started, because if you've got a fucking dick and you think you're a woman, you got some fucking serious issues. Anyway, these are all the same lines that I got. And he goes, and he said, so he went on to the free show. He goes, bro, he goes, that was fantastic. He goes, that was fantastic. I goes, really? He goes, really? He goes, bro, that was so good. But I have to tell you, He goes, I had to delete it off every single thing. But he goes, because 100%. He goes 100%. I'm getting kicked off YouTube and Facebook, and he goes, and I need to be on YouTube and Facebook.
That's true.
He goes, but I tell you what I'm going to do. He goes, do you know anybody? He goes, do you know anybody that disagrees with all of the things that you just said? He goes, do you have a friend that like doesn't agree with you or disagrees with you? Or I said I know exactly who. I said there's a guy who you used to do a podcast with. He argues with me about everything every single day. he goes, and he said to me immediately, he goes, Cav. I goes, no. I said, like, Cav. I said, so me and Cav agree on most things. I goes, we don't agree on everything.
Yeah, I go down the middle. I have a lot of that I agree with you, and I have a lot I disagree with you.
I said, this guy is a different level. Like, his sexuality,
complete opposite.
Politics, conspiracies. He's completely like, everything is what it is. And like, I'm just like, no, it isn't. So he goes, if you can, he goes, that's the show. He goes, everything you just did on that show. And he goes, and somebody telling you that they're the complete opposite. He goes, that's the show that I want. He goes, can you call the guy right now? I goes, you want me to call him now before you record? He goes, see if you can get hold of him. He goes, I want to talk to him on the phone. So that's why I fucking messaged Nick on the group, and I actually got him fucking on the call like that second. And he was like, he goes, I want to do the show like right now. So now I got fucking 2 shows. One I'm doing sports betting, and one I'm doing Nick, who is actually got permission to come on that fucking show and actually like blast me and all those guests.
You know, you got to have the theme to The Odd Couple as your guys' opening music. You got to watch.
Well, we haven't even got a name for the show. Like Vince Russo told us to come up with a name for the show.
Let me think about it for a day. I'll get you a great fucking name, and you could tell me if I'm wrong. I'll come up with something, and you could choose if you. But
anyway, so moving on to my point is that what you want to do, is Nick's job to do.
You know what? I give him that'd be the thing. Each day, pull a name out of the hat who's on the Realm Network and have him yell at that person.
Well, I think if he listens to the shows on there, he'd actually, which I think he probably would do. He'll have enough to go on anyway. Because we decided like we're not going to have a fake show where we turn around and go, today we're going to talk about 9/11, and today we're going to talk about COVID, and today we're not going to set up things that we're going to deliberately disagree on. But we just think we disagree every day anyway, so the things will just automatically fall in our laps. And when the news comes around, look, 9/11 20-year anniversary is coming up in fucking a month's time, 5 weeks time. He's already got me watching fucking movies that he wants me to watch to believe in.
Tell him to watch Loose Change. I think we have told him to watch that already.
What's it called?
Loose Change.
Have I watched that?
Oh, I think you have. I think you've had to have. I'll find it and I'm sending it to you. You'll fucking lose your mind. It's unbelievable.
I've seen it. It was an option when I searched 9/11 on Apple, but I knew I haven't watched it.
Oh God, it's fucking fantastic. And you know what? Have him fucking write all the fucking notes of that. Each fucking thing. Go, all right, disprove this point, and make him fucking tell you, because there's a billion different things on there that will blow your fucking mind. So, and it's all factual things.
My uncle was there, and I know it's real.
I'm like, yeah, the buildings did get fucking hit by planes. We didn't say it didn't. I'm not saying those are fake fucking planes. I'm saying there's explosives in a building as well. And there was some fucking help, and that the building was insured right before it happened. And the bomb-sniffing dogs were taken out right beforehand, too. I'm like, there's a lot of shit.
And people pulled all their fucking money out the day before, like in record numbers.
Maintenance people hearing explosions beneath them before the top fucking happens with the fucking plane. There's a lot of shit. So, all right, let's get the fuck out of here. It's over an hour. We were supposed to do a half hour for you people. Fucking hour and 15 minutes. All right, everybody. I'm Cav. I'm at Lingus Mafia. Go see my nonsense. I'm having awesome August on Patreon. Patreon.com/Lingus Mafia if you want to hear my nonsense. And that's it. We will see you probably before SummerSlam. Or if Punk all of a sudden just shows up somewhere, maybe we'll jump on then too. See you guys.
My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as a big-ass piece of shit.